Hello, gorgeous soul. Welcome to Susie's Enchanted Crossroads. I'm Susie, and this podcast helps you navigate your journey through the crossroads by taking a deeper look into witchcraft and spirituality. So settle in, grab your beverage of choice, and let's get this episode going. What's up, gorgeous souls? I'm excited about this part two of sleep paralysis. Let me tell you. It's comforting knowing that, you're not the only one dealing with this or have dealt with this. And I appreciate the stories that were coming in. Some of them were really just check-ins on and questions, which I'm going to get to, but some of them were just like, you know what? Yes, I've had sleep paralysis. A lot of my friends and family didn't know what it was and it scared me half to death. And honestly, happening at all different ages. So, very, very interesting. If you haven't heard part one, where I get into the science of it and about how sleep paralysis is viewed in different regions, go see part one on sleep paralysis and then come back. I'll see you right now. If you have listened to part one, we're going to get into it. And I'm answering some questions that I received online, and I'm going to read some of your stories or your experiences. This will be, kind of a short little episode, but I wanted to tell you all how much I love you. And I wanted to really say that I love it when you guys message me and email me because obviously I'm just here in my little room, in my little city, in my little state, and just really sending this podcast, this podcast out into the ethers. And I see all the downloads and I love y'all for that. But I really love the connection, which is why I'm doing this. So I just want to say thank you. And I loved reading your stories. I love when you reach out, even if it's just like, hey, enjoyed the episode and all that good stuff. All right, let's get into it. Here's a question that I did receive, and a lot of you were either we didn't touch base enough for me to ask you if you wanted to remain anonymous or if you wanted me to drop your name. So people are going to remain anonymous because I want to protect your privacy and honor your privacy. Just in case, I'm not going to assume that you wanted me to let your name out there. But a question that did come through from a listener named Claudia. What is the difference between astral projection and dreaming? And I could for sure get into a whole other episode on both of these. But as far as it pertains to, we were having a conversation as it was pertaining to sleep paralysis, because in some regions and in some cultures, if you're not careful when you're astral projecting, then it can be said that when you are out there roaming around in dream state and you're not careful, you're not protected, you're just running wild out there. It can come back to when you're coming back into the waking state. That's when you see the sleep paralysis demon or shadow figure because it's like they were connected to you. And you need to make sure that we're not bringing any of those energies or entities back with us into this timeline. But dreams typically occur retrograde. Dreams typically occur with conscious control, right? We we fall asleep knowing that we could go into a dream state, right? This is happening in our subconscious mind. When you are astral projecting, right? This is a state of awareness and control. So the individual is often aware that they're leaving their body and navigating the astral plane. So when you're, dreaming about, I don't know, saying a speech and, your teeth fall out in the middle of the speech, that's you dreaming, right? Because you don't know why you're making the speech or where you're at and why your teeth are falling out of your mouth or whatever. When you're astral projecting, you are knowingly leaving your body, your physical body, and going out as you are going into the astral plane. So it's your astral projection is viewed as a conscious experience where you're separating from your physical body. And your dreams are not voluntary experiences that occur when you're sleeping. So you have no awareness. Now, when we are doing astral projection, I do create an oil. I have different oils. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. Or maybe you didn't even know this, but I create a whole bunch of oils. Me, myself, my guides. And these oils are very intentional. I do it with the moon cycles and all kinds of stuff. But I have two different oils. One is a sleepy time oil to help relax you, to ease anxieties or maybe racing minds. And another one is for astral projecting. And if you're saying, "Oh, well, I can't do it." Anyone can astral project, to be very honest. You can do it, right? Astral projection is a willful experience out of body. This is where your soul is traveling. And this could be even be done like when you're in deep meditation. It doesn't have to happen when you're sleeping. But when I was having this conversation with Claudia, she was just asking what if, these dream visits are happening because we're not, careful when we astral project. So coming back to my oils, one is to ease you into sleep, into a dreamscape, right? To relax, to release. And the other one is you are knowingly going to astral project. You could astral project to another timeline. You can astral project, travel to the underworld. You can astral project, to go speak to your ancestor that you had been connecting to. This is when you do this, you are releasing that fear. And the oil that I create specifically for astral projection is to keep you safe. So, yes, it's going to help ease you quicker into astral projection, especially because normally you start with that meditation. So, whether you're going to bed or you're doing it for, actual astral project through meditation, we're relaxing, we're letting go, we are grounded. And being grounded and really safe within our root chakra, that is what's important. So that oil helps keep you protected not only from absorbing anything as you are doing your travels, but also for anything that may want to, hitch a ride on your energetic wagon there as you come back to your physical state. So, like I said, anyone can astral project. There are many techniques that you can astral project, and if you want me to do a separate episode on that, I most certainly can. But when we're talking about astral projecting and dreaming when it comes to the sleep paralysis. So sleep paralysis happens when your mind wakes up before your body. So your body is in that REM cycle and it hasn't, you're stuck, like you're frozen. Hello, you have paralysis, right? And maybe you can see yourself as that outer body experience, but when you are having sleep paralysis, you are in it. You're not seeing it from an astral point of view. And you're not dreaming it because you are very awake. So when you're going through sleep paralysis and you are no longer dreaming and you're not astral projecting, you are awake when this is happening to you. Now, in different cultures, yes, they believe that it's because you were astral projecting, that you weren't careful and something tried to hitch a ride. And then when you are able to wake up, they disappear. They go back to hopefully where they came from, right? It scares the bejesus out of you, but whew, we're good. And hopefully you're able to go back to sleep. All right, so let's get into it. Sleep paralysis. Where are my notes? Here we go. All right, so the reason sleep paralysis one is so damn scary is one, you're awake and you can't move, you can't talk, as I said in part one, right? You wake up suddenly and you cannot move. And of course, that's fucking terrifying. And what it could feel like is almost like, oh my goodness, as if someone were to hit you with magic, knowing that you are in a dream state, and then you happen to wake up. This is why in other cultures they see it as the hag, because when you wake up, you see, if you, not everybody does, but if you have sleep paralysis and you're just so lucky enough, like myself, to see the sleep paralysis demon or a hag or shadow figures sitting on your chest or just walking towards you, being beside you, yeah, it scares. It's fucking scary, bro. And so it's just it's worldwide, which is crazy. And it's scary to see your these bedroom intruders, right? And it's down from, like I said, hags, witches, demons, and other stories I saw vampires because you're frozen and you can see everything, you can comprehend everything, and it just you cannot move and you cannot scream. Trust me, I have tried. So it just sucks being in that between full wakefulness and that stage of sleeping in that REM. All right, let's get to some stories, yeah? Okay. Um when you're listening to this, there's this whole freaking thing about TikTok not being available to anyone anymore. So I I don't know, there's Lemonade and I don't know what else, but a lot of people are on Threads and then Blue Sky. I got both. So if you want to follow me at Susie's Enchanted Crossroads on Threads and on Blue Sky, I would love to see you there. I'm brand new. I don't know what I'm doing. But I did post this on all of the social media platforms. So I'm going to read this story. And this is from my very good friend Melissa. Uh sh Melissa Strong Healer, y'all. If you love crystals, like go hit up her shop. She's fucking awesome, dude. Okay. Only been scared to leave my bed after seeing a portal in my room. My sister saw it too, like the Poltergeist movie. Nothing crazy happened, but it was scary as an 8-year-old. I've had a few sleep paralysis experiences, but it was so long ago I don't remember much. Hell yeah. 8 years old, that sounds like a scary fucking ordeal. I'm I'm freaking old and having sleep paralysis and it's scary to me, but I can't imagine being 8. Yeah, that in and itself, I would love to hear more about this story. And just seeing the portal. I remember also seeing a portal, but I can't, it was so long ago. I was also small. I was in my room. No one else saw it, but I can't remember if I was just dreaming it. But I do remember there was a portal along the wall. And it was almost as if I was awake when this happened, but I was pretending to be asleep. And I would just see almost like, I don't know if it was a ghost, an energy, a what, kind of going through this portal and coming back out, and rolling, believe it or not, like a tennis ball through the wall and then back. I was like, are they playing like roll the ball between both? And it would look like it was like it was my room, a small little hallway, and then my sister's room. And I'm just like, oh no. And I remember going, just go back to sleep. So that is a crazy story. Um, if sleep paralysis happened to you long ago, I hope it doesn't hit you now because I feel now that we aren't, we know more, but also it's really freaky and scary that it'll just stick with us a lot longer. But thank you for bringing that up, and sharing your story with me. Okay, the next one. So, not really recalling, and I'm gonna leave this one anonymous because I wasn't sure if they wanted me to share this. Not so much sleep paralysis, but I remember when I was younger, I would see these dogs with bright red eyes, and I would be so scared I would run to my mom's room. And for whatever reason, they couldn't pass that barrier. But in my room, they could. Yikes, that's scary. For I did this for many nights until my mom got tired of it and told me I had to stay in my room. I do remember the dogs breaking the threshold in my mom's room, so I figured, what the heck, might as well just stay in my room if they're able to cross the threshold. I wonder what changed, because if they were not able to cross before, what made them test the boundary and then they were able to come back in. After that, I began sleeping in my own room and would just ignore it, and then one day they were no longer there. Ooh, I like it. Again, when we're kids, we're very, very open to all of this energy around us. Um, and that's why if you have children, it's good to put little protections around them and in their space in their area because they can just see more. They're more connected. Society hasn't told them, you're weird if you do this, that they're just divinely connected better than we are, because now we're so self-conscious about it. Okay, this comes from David. So before I knew the terminology for sleep paralysis and knew what it was, I actually experienced it for the first time, I believe, in my early teens, and it was weird. I was on my bed sleeping, and out of nowhere, I just suddenly wake up in a panic with the vibe of being just scared. I couldn't move, which made it even scarier, and I couldn't talk. I tried to yell, and the scariest part of it is that I tried to move, but I couldn't move. And it felt like people were around me and holding me down to my bed, from my wrists to my ankles, from my neck, and it felt like somebody was covering my mouth. And out of nowhere, maybe a couple seconds later, I was able to actually turn my head a little bit and look at my arms. And for me, I have hairy arms, so like I said, it felt like somebody was holding me down from my wrist. And when I was looking at my wrist, I could see the hair on my wrist being pushed down. And above my wrist was obviously my hair standing up because I had those creepy goosebumps feelings of just being super extremely scared. And I was able to move my head the other way and look at my other arm, and my hair on my arms were up, but on my wrist, they were being pushed down as if someone was holding me down. So when I started getting the feeling of somebody watching me and staring at me, I don't know what made me look into the hallway of my room, but there was this humongous shadow, like a 3D shadow off the wall, looking straight at me. It was just a big shadow that took almost the whole doorway, and the eyes were just pitch black. And I was just like, is this real or am I dreaming? Because I was awake. My mind was awake. My eyes were staring at this demon. It was one of the scariest moments of my life. So I told this to a friend, and he told me it was called witch lock. And people get it when somebody's putting a hex on you and or having psychological beings that you can't see holding you down and performing a hex on you. Witches, for example, and that's why it's called a witch lock. So I started doing more research, and the more research I did, the more I started looking like it was sleep paralysis. And it was just an eye-opening understanding of what's actually happening to us in these crazy phenomenons, which is super scary and super creepy. And sometimes you don't want to go back to sleep because you feel like you're going to be tormented by demons or shadow people, or some people even think it's aliens around you holding you down and you're being abducted. And some people go on that route. So still to this day, I get sleep paralysis and I'm in my 40s, early 40s. And yeah, it's just a part of my life. It doesn't get easier, and sometimes it's easy to get out of them, and sometimes it takes minutes. Sometimes it feels like a lifetime. But yeah, I get them once, 3 times a month. I get them once, 3 times a month. And yeah, that's been the story of my first time having sleep paralysis. David, thank you so much for sending in such a detailed experience. First off, I don't get sleep paralysis this often. That's a lot. I'd be so scared. I love my sleep, and I would just be, I think also because maybe the last time I was just fucking pissed. Like, seriously, I gotta go to work in a few hours. But you're absolutely correct on all aspects of that. So, what I was going to touch on in this episode is sleep paralysis. Like I said in part one, people think, it's a witch or a ghost or vampires because also noting the time. So, sometimes, what they say, it's the witching hour between 3 and 4 a.m. That's usually when a lot of energy can come into that liminal time, that liminal space, even right at midnight or between right before sunrise, right? So we have all these different liminal times, and it's almost as if you're catching them by accident, right? You just happen to wake up because maybe you sense something. And they're like, why are you awake and watching me kind of thing? Like, go back to sleep. And of course, it's freaking scary. Um, I've never heard, well, I guess I shouldn't say this, but it can be like an attack, right? A spiritual attack on you. And that can be done um when you're dreaming. So if you're getting a lot of nightmares, you're seeing the same person and you're just like, why are you in my dreams? You're restless, you can't really sleep. There are a few things you can do that I'm going to give you in a bit to help alleviate this problem. But also, yeah, people can see this as an attack on you. Hex is actually like a pretty heavy working. But yeah, this spiritual work could be done onto you, especially when you're vulnerable and you're sleeping and in your dream space. Um, Another thing to note when you're doing sleep paralysis, because this is different, right? He said that, if you can see the hairs on your arm and they're standing up because you're so scared, but right around the wrist they're down, being held down, then yeah, I can super see that as a witch lock or a spiritual lock. Especially if you just kind of see it and you're just, scared. But I would love to hear if that happens to you all the time now, or if it's just like you said, it's almost like the norm for you, and I'm so sorry. Get in contact with me. Maybe I can make you a spray or something and walk you through it, or you can maybe try what I'm about to tell you here in a little bit and see if it helps you. But I just want to know if each time it feels like someone's holding you down, keeping your mouth shut, or if it was just that one time. I'm really interested to know. Another thing people say is that if you are or if you feel you have been abducted by aliens, then those people are the ones that experience sleep paralysis. So it's like you are being taken, you're being abducted. Um, or maybe, they came into the space and you happen to wake up as, they were maybe just curious about you, wondering, lucky you. I've never seen that. I feel like if it was like an alien presence, you would maybe be able to discern between like a shadow person and an alien. And I know I'm just going by like Hollywood maybe, but when I have sleep paralysis, and everybody's different. That's why I wanted to hear. Some people say like, no, it's a demon. I can see, and they say demon, right? Because that's what we're told. But or it's like I can see the horns or the eyes are glowing. Other people are like, it's just a shadow. I can't even make out what the shadow is. Um, Other people, so another's not a big story, but this other person was like, I see just the shadow figure. It always looks like a shadow figure of a man because of the stature, looks like short hair. But this shadow figure always stays in the corner of the room. Every time I wake up from sleep paralysis, or this person does, every time this person wakes up from sleep paralysis or is in experiencing sleep paralysis and they're able to look around, that shadow figure is always in the same corner. And so this person was like, when I woke up, I turned the light on and see, when you're a kid and you see shadows, I kid, we probably still do it, where you see a shadow and you don't know what it is, and you turn the light on and it's just like your jacket on a chair. It's not a monster. So this person got up to check and there was nothing there. Rearranging the room in a different way because it had started becoming a little bit frequent. And the shadow figure was always in that space, no matter what was there and what wasn't there in that corner. So thank you for sharing that story with me. We didn't discuss, so I didn't want to drop the name. For myself, I see the figures and it's creepy because I've had some times where the shadow figure is just standing over me, like hovering. I have had it where I did feel like they were sitting on me, and I feel like the sitting on me really made me upset. Like, get the fuck, why are you sitting on me? Another time that freaked me out and was very different was when I was experiencing sleep paralysis. I did see two shadow figures, and one was male and one was female. But I can only see from the chest up. And the reason I could tell was female was because of the hair. I felt like it was like maybe in a short bob. And I don't see oh my God. I don't see any of their dimensions. Like I don't see eyebrows and their eyes are not glowing. I don't think I've ever seen that. It's just the freaking shadow. But it's almost as if they come into the room like they're wearing those. Have you seen at sporting events where people wear like the literally one piece and it's like, I don't know, all red and it's like a unitard, but it goes all the way up and covers all the way to their head and they're just like people when they do movies and they're green, it's like they're part of the green screen and they kind of like can float things in the air like that, right? Covered head to toe. And that's what they kind of look like. More menacing, of course, but just so that you know, it's not like a shadow on the wall that's casted. It's literally coming and walking towards me. Now, I will say this, and I believe I did say this in part one. When I experienced sleep paralysis in another home when I was house sitting, where I actually felt being like handled and moved was some scary shit, y'all. Because I was by myself in a house I didn't know. I was house sitting. I was far away from my own home. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh, fuck no. Where I was asleep, but the lamp was on. Okay. I wasn't in the darkness. I had the lamp on. I had fallen asleep. I can hear the creaking in the floor like somebody was walking. And then all of a sudden, I don't know if you see scary movies, but when you see, or like a scary snippet on social media, and you know it's coming, right? But you know when they film like the person that's far from you, and then all of a sudden it's like they do like, I don't know, they fucking run to you like really fast. I don't know how to, I don't know how to explain it. But then all of a sudden, in a blink of an eye, they're like right in your face, right? So it was like that, and I felt like them grab on to my ankle and just like pull me and like try to spin me. Whether that was sleep paralysis or an encounter, I don't fucking know, but that's when I knew. I was like, my now husband, boyfriend at the time, I was like, you need to come over here like you need to stay with me because I cannot be in this house with whatever energy, entity, I don't care what the fuck it is, but I cannot because I just felt so vulnerable. And that's the thing about sleep paralysis is that you're so vulnerable. You are in a space where you're asleep and hello, you don't want these spooky sensations, number one, of not being in control of your body as you're, in this half in, half out kind of thing. but it's just horrifying to encounter, whether it's a ghost, whether it's a witch lock, an entity, shadow figures, demons. It's that disturbance of your sense of physical self and your spiritual self is can be very, very jarring. So it's I really wanted to do this second part because these stories and these conversations I was having with y'all, it really did make me do a little bit more um research on this because it's like being stuck in the twilight zone where you're awake, where you can't, am I awake? Am I dreaming? Why can't I move? Why can't I make a sound? And it's just a phenomenon that is just across cultures for centuries has just intrigued us. I mean, it's just such a bizarre feeling to know that people are experiencing this globally. Like, not just in your area, not just in our state, not just in our country because of whatever reason, but globally for centuries. And we look at the science, right? Because we want to peel back some of those layers because we don't like what we can't understand, especially when we are looking at the fear aspect of it. Because, like I said, I couldn't say anything, I couldn't move, and the person sleeping next to me had no idea. So, yeah, it's odd. It's spooky. It's crazy being caught between being awake and dreaming. It's it's crazy to really see like these figures as well. I did have some folklore and myths that I did want to read off. And a lot of these are going to be so hard for me to pronounce because they are, from all around the world. And I hope I don't butcher them too badly. But when it comes to sleep paralysis, everyone around the globe has their own tale to tell. So here are some stories. In Scandinavia, Mara, Mara, is a nightmare spirit that presses down on your chest, making the original nightmare story. In Japan, Ganashibari literally means being tied up to supernatural chains with vengeful spirits keeping you from moving. In the Philippines and Thailand, it is a deadly nightmare blamed on spirits, while in Thailand, it tells a similar tale of ghostly oppression. In Newfoundland, they call it the old hag syndrome, and where the evil witch parks herself on your chest, which I mentioned in part one. In Brazil, it is a creepy crone who steps on those who sleep too full and too flat. What? So don't go to sleep with the too full tummy. In Mexico, it has a unique take with Se me subió el muerto, translating to the dead climbed on top of me. Holy shit. Yeah, that's a total weight on your chest. In Nigeria, a female demon adds a dash of terror to the sleep paralysis experience. In the Caribbean, the Dupi spirit is a figure known for causing paralysis episodes. Yeah. So, like I said, worldwide, these tales of sleep paralysis, and we venture into the science and into the spiritual because this paralysis, with these hallucinations, if you will, from witches to alien abductions, it's an experience that really, really jars the person. And like I said, being immobile and just really feeling these symptoms is can be very, very crazy. All right. So, what are some things that we can do to help us remedy this? So, even though there's tales all around the world, we want to make sure that whatever we are dealing with, whether we're coming out of REM too quickly, evil witches, vengeful spirits, alien abductions, whatever it is for these the unexplained, we can, there are some things that we can do to help with our sleep paralysis. So if we're looking at, old stories for remedies, awesome. But it's like that Brazil one. We want to make sure that we're not eating too late at night and falling asleep because that's going to really mess with your rhythms, your archaic rhythms. So you want to also stick to a consistent sleep schedule because you want to enhance your body's natural rhythm. Now, in this day and age, depending on your job, I know that's difficult. But we want to try our best to set like a bedtime, if you will, and when to wake up. Minimizing noise and light disturbances. So you don't want to like be on your phone, have the TV on, maybe your Kindle. You don't want to have a lot of light right before you go to bed. If you have a lot of stress, you might want to try activities like meditation, yoga, anything that's going to help unwind you before bed, maybe even a little stretch. You know, if you're standing feet flat on the floor, really reaching like as if someone's pulling your fingertips, and then just hanging the upper body down as if you're going to touch your toes. Um, that can really help you, activate the muscles and then relax the muscles. I've been bad at this sometimes. You might want to avoid late night caffeine or really sugary drinks or foods right before bed. I know in our tradition, in our Hispanic culture, it's said that if you eat or drink anything with a lot of sugar before bed, you're going to have nightmares, and sometimes that happens. Not sleep paralysis. I've had nightmares, but not sleep paralysis. And if anything, we should all be monitoring our sleep habits. And this would be great to start in 2025. Know when you had sleep paralysis. So let's say, I don't know, January 15th, and maybe you can note the time it was 2:48. What did you have to eat the night before? Blah, blah, blah. What's going on in your life and that happened. And then note it again when it happens and see if there's any correlation there. Another thing you can try to do is maybe play some either nature sounds or binaural beats. Maybe not so much music because it can make, well, for me, my brain is just concentrating and trying to create dance choreography when I hear actual songs now. When I was a teenager, I could do it all the time. But if you have binaural beats on, there are some beats where you can put, for stress reduction, for deep sleep, and see if that can help. Now, in the more spiritual sense, when you have sleep paralysis or a nightmare or you're just restless, take all of your bed sheets off, bed sheets, um, maybe comforters, blankets, your pillowcases, and throw them all in the wash. If you have like lavender scented, either those booster beads or detergent, or maybe even like the lavender water, throw that in there because lavender will help bring in like peace and calm, and it can also really have a little ball of protection around your sheets and stuff. If like you can't really take your comforter because you got to go to the laundromat and all that, I would just kind of cleanse it. And again, you can use binaural beats, you can smoke cleanse, you can do with the bell, you can just say it out loud like any negative energy that was sent to me where I had all this bullshit going on, you're out the door, like out the window, goodbye, gone. This blanket only brings me peace and relaxation. You can also take like a selenite stick and place it underneath your bed for a night or two, or right beside your bedstand. If you still feeling it like the area is off, maybe you need to clean your area a little bit, vacuum, maybe mop with like a floor wash to kind of remove anything that was there. If you can't really do that, especially like if you're a truck driver or I don't know, you're in a motel or you're out of town. What you can do is actually get a vessel with water, a cup or a bowl or whatever, and put salt in it and just say that that salt water is for your protection. It's going to protect you as you sleep, and it's going to absorb any negative energy, stagnant energy, any spiritual bullshit that's being sent your way. Sleep paralysis demons will get sucked in there, whatever you want to say, and put it around you where you sleep, and in the morning, dump it. And you can continue to do that for a while, especially if you wake up from sleep paralysis and you're having a hard time sleeping. I would do that. Just a glass of water, put some salt in there, and then just put it under your bed. You can also put like rosemary for protection, lavender for peace, stuff like that. But just salt and water is actually pretty easy. You can have crystals around. You can also make a sachet where you get like a little baggie and you fill that up with herbs or flowers that can help protect you in when you're vulnerable, when you're asleep, and also bring in a sense of calm, rest, relaxation, a sense of peace, man. Like you're sleeping. Same can be done with like your pajamas or socks or whatever it is that you wear to bed. So those are some things that you can do. If you still have further questions, like hit me up. Like I'll do a freaking part three. If anything, let me know if you would want me to talk about maybe astral projection or dream space and how you can maybe protect yourself in that realm and in that area. All right, gorgeous souls. I will talk to you later. Thank you so much for submitting your questions. Thank you for chit-chatting with me. That was like super fun. And submitting your stories. I really, really appreciate it. And until next time, I will see you at the crossroads.